Sure. Welcome, guys, to the 13th live stream. Ooh, we still got the waiting room music all nice playing for y'all.
How we doing, guys?
We appreciate y'all being here tonight. How's your day, Tim?
Not too shabby. Just doing a little upgrades, guys. As you can see, we're doing, things a little bit bigger this time. So we got like intros and stuff like that. This is exciting. So
Right. Well, Tim put it all together. He did a great job putting it together, and it's nice to up the production value a little bit. We're going to get better and better every single time that we do it.
Yep.
And we're trying something brand new today, which we're going to go on into the future to do a whole lot more of, which is a call-in show.
Yes, we are.
So we're going to talk into the viewers, specifically the big three, the people that showed up the first and have really contributed the most, which would be New Groiper, High Council, and of course
Honey Badger, but he's actually, I think he just messaged saying that he couldn't. So that actually leaves a couple of spots open for
we were going to take
people.
We were going to take one additional caller. It looks like we're going to take two now today. So that should be very fun. But
let's go pull up the comments real quick.
For sure. For sure. And the cool thing about StreamYard is we see everything cross-platform now.
Yeah.
Hi, Ashley. Hi, Honey Badger. Hi, New Groiper. Of course. Everybody's in here.
Yes, we are. Yeah, this is gonna be fun. Um, I've never done call-ins before, but
It's gonna be
it's gonna be
great.
nice to hear you guys' voice, but good to, be able to have, real concrete talking time with you guys. So we're gonna bring the energy. We're a little bit tired today, but he just actually came back from Alex Stein. He did a lot of driving today. How was that, by the way?
I did. I was in the car for about 5 or 6 hours today, and it wouldn't have taken that long, but I went to visit my manufacturer who lives up in Denton, and then I had to go pick up my dog, and that was a little off the beaten path. I get Rupert boarded when I go to travel, right? So I got a nice lady who I met at a kennel like years ago, and I didn't want to take Rupert to a kennel anymore, so I just take him to her house, and he has a great time with her and whatnot. But
Yeah.
he's back home. He's chilling on the couch out there. He may visit us soon or later, hopefully later. And we may get an opportunity for the dog cam. All the cameras are on, so he may show up.
Yeah, buddy.
But yeah, going on Alex Stein was great. I really enjoyed it. You know, that guy is so naturally talented. He's such a great speaker. He's so naturally funny. He's
I
so
agree.
quick. And, you know, he's about to wrap up at the Blaze. I believe he's got a couple other shows in the next week, but as of October 30th, he's done over there. So I know he's got a lot of big things in the works, a lot of big things planned. I'm excited to do more stuff with him in the future, but as of now, like I'm just excited to see what that future will bring.
Yeah. No, I think yesterday's show I watched, it was hilarious.
What did you enjoy?
My favorite part is when you guys just started just like smashing stuff at the end. But no,
Yeah.
the Israel Wall thing, I was just dying.
That's a really funny bit. Yeah. And, you know, he only started doing that recently. But the cool thing about being in a big studio like the one we'll be in one day is you actually have like TVs and screen walls and things you can have fun with the graphics and really have fun with the imagery.
Yeah. Is that gonna get him in trouble doing that whole thing? Like, isn't he
No, I don't think so. Why would that get him in trouble?
Well, like I don't know. People always try to do like, oh, that's anti-Semitic and all this crap, but like everyone's
It's
just
a
having
fucking
fun
joke.
with it. Yeah.
It's a fucking joke.
Yeah.
Like, and that's the thing is, like he started doing that after the show, you know, didn't get renewed. So at the end of the day,
Yeah.
it's not that big a deal.
Doesn't
right?
even matter.
But yeah, thank you for reposting the stream. We appreciate everyone that reposts the stream.
Yes,
Y'all
we
are
do.
awesome when you do that, and we really love it. But I mean, I like going up to Dallas. I like seeing Alex. I like seeing my manufacturer and the people I work with. But at the end of the day, I'm happy to be back in Austin. I'm a bit low energy today because I was in the car for just so long.
Yeah. It has been a long day, but
The thing is, like, I went south and I took my dog to go play at my grandparents' house, and I came back up north. And Austin traffic is so much worse than Dallas traffic because it's concentrated.
Yeah.
It's all localized on.
Oh, were you trying to get back during rush hour?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're going the exact route that everybody else is trying to get back home up north.
Yeah, but it wasn't that bad. You know, it wasn't that bad coming from Dallas, but it was worse in Austin. Oh, I guess, yeah, you're talking about in Austin.
In
Yeah.
Austin, yeah.
Of course.
But if you're going from south to north at that time, forget about it.
Well, this is a really loose and free show today. We don't really have anything pre-planned. We don't have any big topics. We had a couple things. We'll talk about the National Guard and Trump and the Ninth Circuit ruling. We'll talk about Trump, you know, telling the Israelis not to annex the West Bank. We'll talk about Ian Carroll and Eyal Jacoby, however you say that guy's name, having a little bit of a beef online. But it's kind of a dead day in the news cycle. Like,
yeah,
of course,
the last few days has been pretty slow.
Like, of course, long term globally, it's not a dead day in the news cycle. There's things and wars happening every day, and we oppose all that, and we talk about that here on the gray area. But you know, as of today, like really, you could hear a rat piss on cotton.
Yeah, I didn't really see anything major happening, and also Sunday will be like the main show for us.
Yes, we've made this decision.
Yeah, so Sundays is going to be like the Sunday special, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, we're going to try to stay live like almost 4 hours for you guys.
Yes. That's the day we're going to try to bring on guests.
Right.
That's the day that we're really going to try to do call-ins. Tonight's call-in is just kind of like a little sneak peek, but we're going to really primarily put those for Sunday, but then we'll allow the queue to open up to a lot more people. So that way
we want at least a full hour for call-ins. We want at least a full hour for a guest. We want at least a full hour for whatever sort of like dive that we're going to go into. And we also want, you know, a little bit of time, 5 minutes on whatever topics are happening that day. So when you tune in on Sundays, really expect all high quality show. We're breaking information for you guys. It's kind of a chill night, but you know, it's kind of fun. We appreciate you for spending that night with us. And hey, you don't just have to watch us on X anymore. You can do other things on your phone. You can play Clash of Clans or whatever you're going to do. You can watch us on YouTube and Rumble. And in my X profile, I've linked to both the streams. On the Gray Area profile, it's linked to both those streams. You simply go to the YouTube or Rumble channel, and then you could enjoy crossplay while you're doing something else.
Yep.
I think that's very important.
It is very important. And then also, I only heard back from a couple of people as far as what Sunday's history topic is going to be, because that's also a theme going forward as well. We're not just going to cover topics that we want to talk about. This is an opportunity for you guys to be able to learn. And the whole purpose, you know, it's kind of morphed into this thing, but the whole purpose of us doing the history is just because we all forget about history, and it's very nice to tie that in and see how the connection of like how we got here, and then also we could potentially learn from some mistakes, which is why we do it.
I think we were also talking about, you know, possibly doing a deep dive into like a state versus federal power and the checks and balances.
We were just talking about that now, because I was asking him, I said, do the states have any ability to like check and balance on the executive and federal level? And we're like, I don't know, actually. We should probably do a deep dive on that. And I was like, yeah, actually, that's a very good idea, because right now it seems like the federal level is just, you know, father, and they can just do whatever they want. New Groiper says we need that World War II part 2.
We're gonna get to it. It takes more time. And this is the thing. We'd rather broach like several topics and see what people are really interested in. And the World War II stuff is great, and there's a lot of stuff that we can still do there. But there's a lot of other issues that we do want to cover. So like we don't want to get pigeonholed into any one category.
That will come up though. We'll probably do it in one of the streams sometime in November coming up. I think this one, I saw a couple of people talking about the Civil War and Western expansion. So
that's not bad.
It's not bad. After the show, I'll tweet it out again. Once you guys have had a chance, just go ahead and comment on that. Let me know if there's anything else, because pretty much whoever is like the first people and I see the same thing being said multiple times, that's typically the topic I'm going to go with. So,
right. Well, let's go ahead and get into this Ninth Circuit ruling. And we've got a clip actually from the courthouse. It seems like everything's done now via Zoom and teleconference. And
what happened to the old days?
Well, I mean, COVID happened, and then they all have an excuse to be lazy, essentially, and to like not really work anymore. So I guess you just talk to a judge, like he wears the gown, but he's just at home on his laptop.
He's probably in like his jammies underneath.
Yeah, it's insane. It's insane. Let's go ahead and get this queued up here. I'm working on it. Give me 1 second, guys. All right, let's go ahead and watch the Ninth Circuit ruling and see what's going on here. Press the button. Okay, so everything's linked to the button now.
Remove from, and there we go.
All right. All right.
We think that issuance to the governor requires notifying the governor of the federalization decision and asking him to issue it, which would give the governor a chance to consult, at least consult, on the scope of the president.
So where does the statute say that issuing it through the governor requires either the governor's consent or requires consultation with the governor? Where in the text do you take that from?
Your Honor, we take it from the plain meaning of through the governor. So that's the first step. What does it mean to be issued through the governor? For the governor to issue it, we think at a minimum that means that the governor needs to be informed of it and given the chance to issue it.
What is no, go ahead, Judge Miller.
What is your understanding of how it's supposed to work? So if the president, I guess, or the Secretary of Defense, writes up the order, sends it to the governor. If the governor then, looks at it, says, this is interesting, sticks it in his drawer, and goes out to lunch, what happens then?
Your Honor,
Okay, I guess that's all we have. So what are your thoughts about this?
I don't know who hired that guy before going in.
What is going on here? Oh, it's still in the split screen. All right, I got it. Yeah, so I mean, you're running into an issue where Newsom does not want the National Guard of California to be federalized. He doesn't want them to go in and kind of do what Trump's doing around all these big cities. And it's kind of a narrative as to where like the local governance, the mayors in various cities there, and the governor himself, they're kind of protesting against the ICE raids. They're very anti that. And they're trying to make a stand on that front. But Trump has essentially said, I don't care. I have the legal ability to do this, so I'm going to do it. Now, as far as having police on the street, which is the standard, I think everyone has always hated that. So everyone hates the military even more.
Depends on who you are, and it depends on what the situation is. I mean,
Right.
I remember when New York City had a lot more police presence, and I didn't necessarily feel offended by it. I was like, you know what? As long as they're just doing their job and just keeping crime down, I don't really care. But I think where it really starts to become an issue is when you have like any sort of like protests going on, and then they really try to start getting aggressive. That's when I see a lot of the chaos that starts to take.
Right. But I mean, like, there have been instances where the ICE agents have been shot. There have been instances where cars have been rammed. There have been instances where like mobs of people have attacked them. And ultimately, you're talking about a very small number of federal employees, and they have to deal with essentially like the bulk of the citizenry or the non-citizenry.
Yeah, it's kind of wild. And the thing about the ICE, that one's a little bit more charged than just having the National Guard. Because then you look at like social media, the main narrative for these people, especially like the ones who are pushing the narratives on the left, is like they're tearing families apart from each other. So that is what you see on TV, and that's the thing that you're gonna go and create that rallying behind, and why they're probably gonna go out there and shoot them.
Right. I don't know how I feel about it because I want people to be deported. I don't believe that the 10 million people, and that's the conservative figure, but that's the figure we have to go to. In actuality, it's probably much higher than 10 million. It's probably at least double that. I don't think that the people that Biden invited over here should get to stay over here. And the argument is like, oh, the infrastructure, the agricultural work, and all that. The people that were doing that here already. Right. Like the people over the past 4 years that came here, they have no reason to be here. So we got to get them out somehow. That being said, it does kind of seem like, we had our guest Matt Baker on. He was talking about, the border was so bad. The Biden situation was so bad. And then Trump comes in and he fixes it, quote unquote. But then now we have this massive growth in the power of the federal government to do these sorts of things.
Yeah.
But I guess the argument is that the federal government already had the power to do these things.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. The federal government's power is pretty loose if you think about it.
Mm-hmm.
Constitution wise, there isn't really a whole lot of wording in the Constitution to really dictate what the federal government can do versus what the state. And so, like, specifically in the executive branch,
Right.
the whole concept of like executive power in declaring emergencies, this is a precedent. I mean, I think Trump set a precedence for, the number of, and maybe he didn't. I don't know if there was another president before
Biden
him.
did sign like a record number of executive orders.
They all did.
Yeah,
right?
they all did.
So this
It
more
keeps
this new
going up.
era, this new era is basically like, okay, executive order equals like mini, like you do as I tell you, essentially, because you can declare
Right.
anything a national issue. And I think that started really from Bush era. When 2000, when the 9/11 happened. If you think about it, the reason why we were able to go to war was just because of the fact that he declared a national emergency, and then that set precedence for other people to be able to be like, okay, well, we can declare all these other different things under like the Aliens Act, essentially, and say like, okay, we're being attacked, and we're gonna go and make this executive order.
Right. No, 100%. So I've got this other thing from Gavin Newsom, and we've got this clip from Gavin Newsom especially. We're going to go ahead and play this and reference this. So Gavin says, sending troops to San Francisco, do it and we'll sue. We don't bow to kings. We defend the Constitution. All tough, all the big tough guy. And then the Bulwark question, are you going to send federal troops and the National Guard to San Francisco? Trump says, we're going to go to San Francisco. We're going to go to San Francisco and we're going to make it great. Don't forget, I can use the Insurrection Act. Now, Gavin makes this grand protest about all of this, and he whines and he bitches and he moans and he freaks out. He swept the streets. He imposed law and order when President Xi of China came to
Yes,
visit.
I do remember that.
So-
Streets were cleaned up in
Yeah.
like 2 days.
We've got a real quick clip of him. We'll go ahead and play it.
I know folks say, oh, they're just cleaning up this place because all those fancy leaders are coming into town. That's true because it's true.
Wow.
I know folks say,
yeah,
oh,
but
they're
you look like you're supposed to be on TV. You can get away with doing stuff like that, I guess. I guess that's the grand thesis of all of this stuff at the end of the day.
Did you watch the documentary that he made?
No, I didn't.
I think there's one on, I want to say, who did this? Diary of a CEO did a whole
Okay.
documentary, and I recommend you guys to go check it out. There's certain things that like I'm not a Gavin Newsom fan.
Right.
I just don't know what to believe sometimes when he's having his little narrative and his story, because he seems very polished when he gives his story. And some things I'm like, oh, you know what? Maybe he's not as bad as the guy as I thought, but I don't know. Uh, for people in California, he can do no wrong. You know, they'll defend him to the hill.
Right. And I mean, this is the guy they want to be president at the end of the day. They want this guy to be the president of the United States. And I think he wants to do that. I think he's got the right look. And ultimately, we live in a world where, especially after Trump, it's funny talking about Trump. It's about like how famous you are, number one, how attractive you are, number two. And
Yeah.
Trump is not attractive by any stretch of the imagination. But in 2028, it's going to be JD Rubio. That's going to be the Republican ticket. And then it's going to be who else, right? They have Bernie to run. And
I do not need to see Bernie. How old is he now? He's older than Biden.
he's got to be close. Yeah.
in
he's
his
gotta
80s.
yeah,
Got to be in his 80s.
He's got to be there. I mean, he's up there. They got AOC. She's old enough to run. They got Gavin Newsom. They got all these folks. They got all these people. And at the end of the day, they don't have a single winner. So they're going to have to go with the person that looks the most conventionally attractive. They've got that Mark Kelly guy. They've got a couple like governors like Gavin that are, you know, just kind of traditional Americana candidates. They got one guy that's an astronaut. I believe that's Mark Kelly. They've even talked about Pete Buttigieg, which is like, number one, no one knows who he is.
Isn't he like cabinet like of
He's
like the housing
he's
something?
like he's like the gay mayor of a city that doesn't exist. South Bend, Indiana.
But they gave him some type of like title at some point where he was like housing and
He was
urban
transport.
development.
He was the head of transport.
That's what it was.
He wasn't HUD secretary.
Okay.
Yeah, he wasn't HUD secretary. He was the transportation secretary, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, and that really did us good. Where's our bullet trains?
Right. I mean, it's all a giant nothing burger at the end of the day. And that's why, you know, like we criticize Trump, we criticize the Republican Party a lot on this show. But at the end of the day, at least, you know, at least they signal to their boomer base that they're doing the things that the boomer base wants to get done. The Democrats, they don't have a leg to stand on. Their like biggest leg to stand on is Bernie, and his biggest claim to fame is losing twice. But he capitulated. He capitulated Hillary, and like he almost beat Hillary, and people forget about this.
Yeah,
But
he
Hillary
did.
came in with the super delegates and stole the whole thing. And then with Biden, he kind of got pressured and he kind of dropped out and endorsed Biden. I mean, Bernie Sanders is a very weak candidate, but it's literally just about how much people like you, and people like Bernie a lot. And they go, "Oh, he's honest, he's for real," which is just so insane.
He's
but
taking
he's taking pharmaceutical money.
pharmaceutical money. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, they're all,
the beta. Yeah. Indeed.
so my thing is like with the actual campaign itself, you know, even if Newsom runs, right,
Right.
he can't hide all the mistakes he made as governor in
Well,
California.
I mean, California's the worst. They got the
Yeah.
highest debt of any state. That's number one, right? California's got the highest debt. They're in, I believe, hundreds of billions of dollars of debt to like the federal government itself.
And it's crazy. They had a surplus at one point, and what did they do with all that money? They said that they put it into homeless and all these other different things.
Yeah,
And
so we could get more of them. You know, we wanted to buy more homeless, so we
What they-
invested in buying more homeless people.
or investing in buying them needles so that they can continue to shoot
Right.
themselves up.
I mean, like LA, I believe was a city. They spent like over $100 million on like 8 toilets, and none of them worked, or like it may have been charging stations or something like this. I mean,
San Francisco. Yep.
yeah, it's all a gigantic fraud at the end of the day. But
Mhm.
you know, people support Gavin Newsom because I guess he looks like he should be the president, and everyone watches TV all day, so they just go with, "Oh, he looks like he'd be good at the job. We go ahead and bring him on."
Right.
Right. So I guess that's what it all comes
Did
down
you know
to.
he's like dyslexic?
Maybe Gavin Newsom.
Yeah.
I mean, that's stolen valor.
Yeah.
I don't believe
He
it.
has something where he has like a learning disability of some sort, so he can't go without like a or he typically doesn't go with a teleprompter sometimes. He talked about it in his interview.
Okay, we got a little bit of a topical story here. Let's go ahead and look at this. Pro-Israel advocate Eyal Jacoby, I guess that's how you say it, questions Ian Carroll's rapid X-follower growth. On October 23rd, 2025, Eyal Jacoby, a University of Pennsylvania graduate and advocate, posted on X questioning how independent researcher Ian 1.3 million followers in under 2 years for background in Uber Eats driving. Carroll responded by detailing his roles in teaching, bartending, guiding, attributing his rise to viral content on corporate influence and conspiracy theories, amplified by a Joe Rogan podcast appearance. The exchange elicited polarized reactions on X, highlighting tensions over influencer authenticity and ideological divides. Yeah, I mean, I know Ian Carroll. I like Ian Carroll. Here's the thing about him. He's just a popular guy. He's not ultimately like a party plant like you, EL. So at the end of the day, he makes good content, good media. People want to watch his stuff. And ultimately, what do? You just defend Trump and Israel and genocide all day? Like, of course he's more popular than you. This is a typical example.
Who is this guy? EL?
E.L. Jacoby, 23-year-old UPenn grad, incoming MIT student. Oh, I'm so smart. Dedicated to combating anti-Americanism, anti-Semitism, really. That's what he's dedicated to combating. And anti-Semitism is anything that he believes is Jew hatred. In many cases, it's not. So this guy, like I got in a Twitter thread with him. We kind of argued a little bit. You know, I was posting like videos of what's going on in Gaza. And he was like, oh, you're misrepresenting. I was like, okay, like how do you misrepresent a video?
This guy said that?
Yeah. So something to that effect. I'm not giving an exact quote here, but at the end of the day, Ian Carroll is immensely popular. He's someone that really rose to fame off of TikTok, right? Like he was a big TikTok guy, those viral shorts, those viral reels on Instagram. Everyone's seen his face. And that's what happens when you talk about controversial topics that are cool. People pay attention and people want to watch you. And I mean, this guy, let's just check out what's going on here. I mean, Trump's got the yarmulke on. You can see this right here. Look at that.
Wow.
Is the audio glitching some? Are y'all having glitched audio? Please tell us in the feed. That would be pretty bad. But I don't think so. Things sound good for us. Yeah, I mean, it's all just
very Jewish.
Yeah, it's all. It's
I mean,
all
his last name gives it away.
It's all just Israel, Israel, Israel all the time, and it's just kind of like the generic right-wing Israeli stuff. You know, so he's kind of got the Israel boomers on his side, you know, like, I mean, these people are very easy to rip on at the end of the day. Like she married her brother and shit. You don't know about this, Ilhan Omar? I believe she's I want to say Minnesota, it might be Missouri, somewhere up north, somewhere in that area. She is I believe she's a congresswoman, and she married her brother and helped them get citizenship that way.
Is she Muslim?
She's a Somalian. I don't think she's Muslim, but get this, her family in Somalia, they're like ruling class, and like they were like presiding over some of the slavery going on there.
No.
So then she comes over here and she tells us how to live and that we're bad, right? So like it's very easy to rip on people like this. I mean, he's criticizing Ian Carroll. I would argue this is the most low-hanging fruit that there is, just getting boomer engagement, farming the boomer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's niching. That's what he's doing.
He's not niche. Like, it's a very big sector. But
I'm saying he's trying to cater his content to
mainly Israel. I guess so. Okay, so see, and now he's grifting too. He's being a very good grifter. He's trying to get on a debate with Ian Carroll, who has a bigger follower base than he does, to try to get some of that,
strategic,
some of that attention, And that might be execution footage. Probably not too good to show that on here. Actually, we can show it. Whatever. So here's my thing about all these videos that come out. Like, how do we know the authenticity of any of this, or like where it comes from, or if it's real? Like at the end of the day, if these people were a part of that militant movement and they betrayed the militant movement, like, yeah, you're probably going to get shot in the head. And Israel does the same thing. It's called the Hannibal Directive.
Also, a lot of people pull up old footage too. Not to say that this is not valid, but it's very hard. But I mean, no, that looks like the rubble from Gaza. But.
Yeah, that's probably recent. Okay, but yeah, like she's very anti-immigration, of course, for everyone that isn't Jewish, of course, and all of this. And we'll go ahead and play this clip.
Together, Jews, Christians, and Muslims. We hear so much about this at home. We hear views propagated by media, by commentators about what it's like for Muslims living here. So I thought, as I'm in Jerusalem, I'm going to travel to the Muslim quarter. I'm going to speak to Muslims that live here and own businesses and see what it's like for them living under the state of Israel. Is it fair? Is it balanced? Do they face oppression? Do they face discrimination? Whether they like it, whether they'd rather live under the Palestinian Authority, whether they feel Israeli or feel Palestinian. Just lots of questions I want to ask from them, the people who actually live here. Can I ask you, what's it like living in Jerusalem? I guess, are you a Muslim?
I'm Muslim, yeah.
What's it like living in Jerusalem as a Muslim?
It's a holy place.
It's a holy place?
Yeah.
It's okay, no problem.
No problem. No problem.
As a Muslim living in Israel, what's it like?
Good.
It's good.
Yes.
please do not take me to the. Please not take me to the prison camp.
He's got the gun behind him. He's like, good. It's good. I love Israel.
on your position right now, bro.
So you as a Muslim growing up here,
I was expecting.
we're in the Muslim quarter.
They're like,
Have you faced discrimination, unfair treatment, or?
No, I don't. I don't feel nothing.
Mossad
I feel
is sitting
safe.
out there.
No problem here. I have here before 60 years here. My father,
60,
grandfather.
family.
Yeah. So that's
Avoiding
no
eye
problem with me.
No
It's
problem.
okay. Yeah.
Good life.
Good life.
Are you happy here?
Muslims, of course, I'm happy. Even it's hard, I am happy. I'm happy every day I come to my work. I am happy I live here in the old city.
I optionally live here. I work here. I happy here.
He's got the American flag shirt.
There's America.
Okay.
Yeah. A lot of people still support America, even though they.
Crazy.
Yeah.
It's wild.
This
Thanks God.
Our fan base overseas.
دير بالك.
Oh, the IDF. They shoot me in head if I say bad thing. Oh, it's very difficult. Oh, it's very hot, but it is okay.
it's like the
it here.
IDF soldiers standing behind the camera while they're recording.
Dude, they're like stormtroopers in Star Wars. This reminds me of episode 4 where they're in Mos Eisley. Oh, man.
I can see it.
Oh, it is, please do not take me with bag over my head.
Here's my perspective with this, though.
Yeah.
I think a lot of media, they over exaggerate sometimes on the issues because,
Right.
for example, if I were to just look at media and I would just look at like Instagram, maybe I'm on X, for like the black community, they're like, oh, well, it's terrible being a black person in America. And then like me and then all my family and I have tons of friends that are black. It's like the reality on the ground is a little bit different. You go and you pick the sensationalized stories about the things that are happening to that particular community. Yeah, you're gonna go find the people that are really angry, but in general, yeah, you go ask the person who, your boyfriend just got shot by the police. They're gonna be like, I hate America. Everything's happening, but you go ask the average person, it's not as bad. And I'm saying that from first person's perspective, where like I'm not getting
right, but they live in a country where like here's the thing, we went over that Penn State poll, right, and almost half of the Israeli population believe that Arab Israelis, like people that are Muslim that hold passports, that they should be denaturalized, that they should be deported.
Yes.
And white people don't believe that about black people.
No, but here's the thing. It depends on who you talk about, right? Like there's the old boomer who has his own opinions, and there's a large demographic of them, but it doesn't mean they're necessarily going to go and do anything about it, right? Like I can go and this old guy doesn't like me, or I might be in a particular room where they might be like somewhat racist, but for them to outwardly do something about it, the average person doesn't have the backbone to do something like that.
I guess. I mean, you're talking about an area though where it's not even really racially based; it's religiously based, right?
But
like you have like
race
Arab
and
Jews.
religion are two sides of the same coin, in my opinion, when it comes to polarization.
I guess I see what you're saying, but you're talking about a place like Israel. Essentially, it is a theocracy, right? It's a Jewish nation, right? And like they declared the Palestinians to be Amalek. That's why they wage war against them the way that they do. They're their biblical enemy, and their job is to wipe them out. Their men, their women, their cattle, their dogs, everything. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So at the end of the day, if you kind of have this small minority population that's living inside of the ethno state, and if they have to kind of like walk a tightrope of like all these various rules that they have to do, like, I mean, are those people allowed to criticize the state? I don't think they're allowed to criticize the state.
Yeah, I mean, but America is very unique in certain aspects that we have that. A lot of countries,
yeah, America's better.
Yeah, a lot of countries you're not allowed to speak out against the government in certain
capacities. Yeah, but I mean, this is the poster child of America, and we always hear about how free and democratic and loving they are.
I don't think
so. The argument to me doesn't hold water.
But do you think that the IDF, Mossad, all those people, like they're still democratic? I wonder what is the Israeli like version of the Constitution and what their rights are.
We do whatever we want.
I was just say there definitely is the ability for them to speak out.
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
I mean, if you're Jewish, you can protest. I think if you're Muslim and you protested, I think they would declare you Hamas and shoot you in the head.
Bold claim.
I think that's true. I think that's pretty much been.
I think it depends on where you're at, right? If you're in the mainland, maybe not so much. West Bank.
Well, I mean, the West Bank, they're burning their olive trees, they're doing all sorts of stuff to them anyway. These people have no rights. And,
Yeah.
and just if you agree and flag wave for the state, like the people in the clip are doing, I'm sure you're allowed to live there. I mean, I'm sure that's fine, but it's kind of like apartheid, right?
Right.
You know, just because, oh, South Africa, they're living together, they're having a good time. And
True.
I don't think it holds
but
water.
my whole point with this is just like the boots on the ground is always going to be very different than on the high level. For example, Iran, right? Some American went in there, did a whole entire documentary on YouTube. I'll find the video sometime.
Yeah, Max Blumenthal.
There's multiple people. It might have been him, but he basically goes and like lives with, you know, the average person, goes around talking to different people, explaining their, you know, trying to understand their perspective on America and what they think about Americans. Like 80% of the people, 90% of the people were like, we don't hate Americans. Like, we actually like them a lot. It's our government that pushes this narrative and what they say.
Yeah,
and they're
but
also,
we've seen the poll. Like, I'll pull it up.
but like, I don't trust polls.
No, not
these
dude.
days, though.
They like Officer Tatum, Officer Talmud, the black guy that loves Israel. He went over there and he's a Christian. And they have this custom over there spitting on the Christian. You have to understand. They do this. This is true. And he's in an interview with Netanyahu. I'll pull this up right now.
All right, let's pull this up.
I'll pull this up for you right now.
It's just like it is very hard for me to wrap my head around the fact that that would be like a poll is going to dictate, because poll is only a subset of the population. It's supposed to represent the whole, but in statistics, nothing's perfect, especially when you're talking about a whole population.
I've got some fun clips for today.
Max equals Jew. Guys, is the stream still lagging for you guys as far as the audio is concerned while he's pulling this up? If some people could just message in the chat so that way we know.
Yeah, please let us know if we're having audio issues. All right, I got to find the actual poll. I'm going to find the poll really quick. Here we go. And this is Haaretz. This is the Israeli newspaper. So, I mean, you can't criticize that. But we'll go ahead and play the Talmud, or Officer Tatum, excuse me, clip. Go ahead and play this now.
And in Israel, if you actually talk to the majority of Christians, talk to them, you'll see what they say. They say Israel is the only place where we're respected and protected.
And I can attest to that as a Christian who went to Israel. I spent 2 weeks there with the church, and we had an incredible time. We had only one incident where a small child spit on one of the pastors, and immediately after, there was an adult that came by and said, "That's not a representation of who we are. You know, we love you guys. You guys are always welcome here." And I have to say, no adults
look at his face,
gave us any grief. We had no issues whatsoever in our experience there.
He wants to say.
He wants to say something, but he won't. I mean, what do you think of that, Tim? You think that's a cultural issue? That's a child. You know, he learned that somewhere. He didn't organically decide to do it. This is a known phenomenon.
I see what you're saying, but this
is what they do.
My statement still holds true in terms of when you highlight the one scenario, it does not represent the entire population. And I even have that problem with polls sometimes because of this issue. It's like they say polls, like the polls for the presidential election, right?
Okay.
We have 1 million of those that come out every single year. And how many of them are actually ever right? Almost none of them.
There's margin of error.
But like the margin of error is pretty high in what we allow for that. And then also each poll, depending on which side you look at, has like different numbers, and everyone's saying, well, my poll is correct and your poll is wrong and my poll has the real data. And at the end of the day, most of it doesn't actually pick up on the silent majority of people that aren't really talking or speaking up. Because in general, polls are kind of biased because it's the people that want to take the poll in the first place that will speak up in the first place.
It's making me pay for it to read it.
Which one?
So the Haaretz newspaper.
I really gotta do a deep dive into the controversial part about polls, because I back in the day I was like, can polls always be trusted? And there's something about them that has bias in them that makes some of them not as reliable, which is why I never go with the polls.
So you think if you polled these people and like if you did like a massive like 100,000 people that you polled and you did this big, you think that the view of the Israelis would be more moderate? When
No, not at this time. But if you were to probably go back before all of the October situation happened, it might have been
Does that make it better?
No, but that's the government propagandizing and giving messages because we're not on the ground seeing what they see on TV, right?
I guess so. But here's what the Haaretz poll or Penn State poll, it's backed up by Haaretz, says. So this is coming from the Israeli newspaper. They back it. They say it's legitimate. To the question, do you support the claim the IDF in conquering enemy city should act in a manner similar to the way the Israelites did when they conquered Jericho under the leadership of Joshua, i.e. to kill all its inhabitants? 47% of all respondents answered in the affirmative. 65% of those surveyed answer that there's a current incarnation of Amalek. That's the biblical people that the Israelis kill because they're evil. And of these, 93% responded that the mitzvah to erase the history of Amalek is also relevant to that contemporary Amalek, referring to the Palestinian people.
Okay. That's
really bad.
That is bad. And I'm not even defending
so like
the
you
poll
got
at all.
you got 93% of the people that are polled.
It's just my skeptical engineering brain always goes to, okay, show me the sample size, show me what your normal distribution of the people that you polled, where did you poll, what is it? Like they don't ever include the details of their data. It's like when people do clinical trials, right?
Mm-hmm.
On the clinical trial, they'll be like, oh, we did this clinical trial. And then you go and deep dive on how they did the clinical trial. And then you go to an expert and they're like, this is not based. You know, anyone can just go out there and just say, oh, it's studied. It's fact. It's factually based. And then it's not based off of actual logic.
Right.
That's my only thing why I push back on some of these things, because I don't know, man.
All right. Well, we'll take that point, and it's an interesting discussion as well. We'll have many more times. Let's go to what Trump says. Trump warns Israel West Bank annexation means end of U.S. support. This is updated an hour ago. So he said this before. He's reiterated it again to be strong on his position. President Donald Trump warned that Israel would lose all U.S. support if it annexes the West Bank, a stance reiterated after the Israeli Knesset, that's their kind of like Senate body, narrowly passed preliminary annexation bills during Vice President J.D. Vance's visit to Jerusalem. Netanyahu's office condemned the vote as a political provocation by opposition lawmakers, while Vance labeled it as a stupid stunt, insulting to him and risking Gaza negotiations. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, Little Marco, added that such actions endanger Trump's Gaza plan and strain U.S.-Israel relations, drawing praise from Palestinian officials. So Trump's being really strong on this. He said it once. He said it again now. He's being very clear on this, which is a good thing,
Yeah.
Because a lot of the time, Trump will say something and then he'll chicken out. He'll move his position on to another point and he'll kind of try to appease everyone. I heard someone make this point today. I think it was Scott Ritter on Judge Napolitano's program, and he said JD's been sent over there as a babysitter, like a babysitter, but to babysit BB.
That's
essentially,
funny.
and I like that, and I think there's a lot of truth to that. I think that there's something real there. But you, Tim, what is your opinion on the long-term state of like how much we're going to be able to prevent them from doing that?
As long as
because if they do it, if they just move forward with it and they're like, yeah, we did it. Like, what are you going to do? What do you
I don't think they are going to be able to do it, right? The West Bank is a little bit different than Gaza, where you have they're a little bit more civilized. They have their own government. Now, the government there is kind of not really a government. They're just acting as governing the people, but the Israeli government actually controls that. At the end of the day, they still fall underneath the greater branch.
And the American taxpayer, the Americans, we're paying for the settlers. Like we're giving them a lot of money.
Yeah.
The American taxpayer base is giving these people cash, and they go in there and they essentially say, hey, like we're moving on to your land, whether you like it or not.
Yeah, but that's the problem. It's like that normalizing of like almost like a gentrification process that happens, and it'll be slowly. I don't think they would ever be able to just do an abrupt, like, okay, we're just taking over these parts completely and just.
It's a slow roll for sure.
Yeah, it would be you would do it over like a decade, right? That's how I see them doing it. I don't see them being able to just like 1 year declare, because the thing is the amount of backlash that they would have is not worth it for them on an international level. Because Israel, as much as they preached like, oh, we're the savior of the Middle East and we're X, Y, and Z, they still need to cooperate with the rest of the world because they don't have all the resources themselves.
Nice. Well, you ready to start taking calls?
I am ready.
All right, let's go ahead and do it. I just texted in the group chat. That's why I was on my phone. And let's see if we can get some folks in here and start having some fun topics tonight. I think we're going to get New Groper first. I think he's pretty much ready.
All right, let's go
So we go up here. Yo,
Don't worry.
look at that.
I just gotta restart the session up.
Oh, but look at the balance on there. We got to find a.
No, that's
That's
positive.
just signing up.
That's the positive.
I got
I
you.
put that there.
Got you.
That's what we're spending.
Got you.
We spend money for this, guys.
Right. This is a cool system. You know, I was talking to someone else that does a show, and the way they do it is they use Zoom, but they do audio only. We found a call-in service. Y'all are going to be able to call an actual number and talk to us tonight. And, you know, it's a free-for-all. Any topic is open. We're ready for that. We really enjoy you guys, especially on a day today where it's really slow, especially for me. I'm very tired, guys. I know Tim is.
You are connected as the host. Welcome, host. You are now in the host room and can manage your callers from the call-in studio web interface.
It's a nightmare.
All right. I'll figure out a way around that.
Okay.
All right. Go ahead and call in, guys.
And it's that same number?
Yeah.
Or is it that new number that's
Nope.
popped up?
It'll be the phone number that they gave. Right. Let's take it first, guy.
Let's go ahead and talk to him.
Hello.
All right, you're on the air.
Can you hear us?
Hello. Yo.
Yes.
What's up?
Yeah, we
How are
can
y'all
hear you
doing tonight? Let's make sure the audience can hear you too. Say something you can hear the guest.
Do I sound all right?
Yeah, we
Sound
can hear you
great.
perfectly.
Okay, good. Yeah, I'm doing it from my computer. How's it going, guys?
Pretty good.
Pretty good.
Enjoying the slow news day. What's on your mind?
Dude. There's been a lot on my mind. But the SNAP benefits ending and the food riots that might be coming, that stuff's a little scary. You know, what do you guys think about that?
Government shutdown is never a good thing.
It's been 3 weeks.
This is
and,
terrible.
You know, people have stopped talking about it for some reason. And you figure like on a slow news day like today, we'd see more coverage of this. But I think it's going to be really bad. And Trump's trying to make an effort to pressure the Democrats into reneging on their like healthcare for illegal immigrant thing. I don't think they're going to do that. I think this is going to last for a while. What do you think?
I think it's terrible that they're doing this. Growing up, I was on food stamps, you know, so like I know as a kid, you know, not that my mom, you know, my mom and dad didn't want to necessarily get into the government program. They did it until they could get out. But these are essential systems that we actually need. And imagine all these people going hungry. This is not a good call just to be like, oh, you know, we're making a point here. I mean, at the end of the day, these are Americans and it doesn't matter what the disagreement is. We got to be able to find a way to get past these types of things. So
I totally agree. I mean, where do you see this going?
I mean, given the video montage that I saw, how angry these people were, and I know there's big pieces moving in the federal government, that's for sure, because they're getting ready for Agenda 2030, digital ID,
right?
You know, all that stuff. And I'm in Los Angeles, which is like a sinking ship. I'm behind enemy territory in Maxine Waters' district, which is
where's that?
Not. Well, that's South Central Los Angeles.
Okay. Ooh, yeah. Okay.
Next to Compton.
Yep. I
Straight
get
out
it.
of Compton.
Yeah, I get you.
Yeah, but no, yeah, it's interesting being here because it's very oppressive, I guess you could say, the overall atmosphere.
And what about it specifically is oppressive? What have you found? What have you found to be the most difficult things about living there? And like, have you considered leaving?
Oh yeah, totally. I mean, I think about it all the time. I just graduated college at the beginning of the year, so I'm just trying to find my in the career path that I'm pursuing, which is cinematography, filmmaking, stuff like that.
Nice. Well, I guess that is kind of the place for it. But you know, other places like Georgia
Exactly.
and Texas, they're opening up too. So
yeah, I mean, you hear a lot about Austin, and obviously, I think Chicago has some stuff going on. But
Chicago's a little too cold for me.
What's up?
Chicago's a little too cold for me.
Yeah, Windy City. I don't doubt it. I've been there once. It was pretty cold when I was over there. But what do you guys think? You know, like the 5G, like all that. You know who Todd Callender is? Your dad has had him on the show a couple of times, but he's this military attorney who was one of the however many attorneys that sued the DOD during the COVID stuff and stopped the forceful vaccinations of our troops. And he talked a lot about 5G warfare and wide body area network. Are you guys familiar with any of that stuff?
Not terribly. I mean, I believe the 5G is unhealthy. I mean, they've done studies on plants and it kills them. They've done a lot of these things, and they say not to get too close to the towers anyway. But I mean, that's kind of the world that we've been brought into. Tell us about it. What's your knowledge on this? Share some expertise for the audience.
I mean, I've seen a documentary about it that I thought was pretty interesting. I think it's by Dinesh D'Souza, maybe. It's called 5G Warfare. It's on Rumble and stuff. I just thought, like, because they pull so much, like, scientific data showing how bad it is for kids and, like, you know, developing their brain. And, you know, so I think a lot of that stuff has a lot to do with the retardation of the population, you know, as well as the vaccine stuff, obviously.
Right.
Dumbing
The
people
full
down.
spectrum poisoning that's been done. I agree with you there. You know, I should be more knowledgeable about all these topics. Unfortunately, you know, I've kind of zeroed in and pigeonholed on all the war stuff because it's been such crazy news for the past couple of years, just Ukraine, Gaza, Iran, and now what's happening in our own Western hemisphere with the whole Venezuelan debacle. I need to get back more into that sort of, you know, esoteric science stuff about what they're truly trying to do and the weather weapons and the chemtrails and all that. And I really appreciate you bringing that up. That definitely rings a bell for me, and I'm going to do more research on that front because that is something we need to talk about. And we should definitely do a show on that as well.
Yeah, we need to do a show on that. And then, like, there's a lot of just domestic things that, you know, a lot of people aren't talking about, you know, such as like the data centers and all the problems that are coming and the hitting costs that go inside of your electric bill. You know, things like Klarna, like a lot of these things we're talking about internationally right now because that's just a hot news
Well, it's
cycle.
designed to dehumanize, to make it so everyone is ultimately paying into a system they'll never be able to get out of.
Right. So, I mean, I'd like your point on the 5G. What else have you been looking out there that has concerned you?
You guys ever read I mean, I've never read it, but I've heard about it, the Protocols of the Learned Elders of Zion?
Yes, I'm familiar with this.
I'm not.
Yes, this is. Go ahead.
Yeah, can you break down what that is? Because I mean, I'm not too familiar with it. I've seen quotes from it, and I've heard, you know, contradict. Like people say it's real, or people say it's fake, but it's not clear.
It is allegedly a book written by like rabbis back in the day about basically how to take over the planet. And there's a lot of
right.
Yeah, there's a lot of claims as to whether it's real or not and whatnot, but it's one of these books that people point to as an example of like why like X group of people is bad. And you know, I have to do more research into it. I don't know a whole lot about it, to be honest with you, but I mean, Jay Dyer came on the Alex Jones show today, and they were breaking down. I think the book was called "Changing Images of Man," and essentially it was
great.
Yeah.
Today was a great broadcast.
Yeah, phenomenal broadcast today. I enjoyed it, but I was driving down from Dallas. Like I've been in the car all day, and I was able to catch that, and I was able to catch some of him with Harrison, not the whole thing. And ultimately, in a day, they write these books, and you're like, "This is so insane. This can't be true." And then you see who it's published by. That book that was covered today, it was published by Ghislaine Maxwell's father.
Oh my.
Right. So like
Yo.
these are the things that they give you when you're decided like, hey, you're in the academic program, you're in the Kissinger group, and we got to decide if you're really like one of us and you're really about this whole dehumanization technocracy thing. We give you this textbook, and it has basically our attack plan, our manual in here. And this is like a book from the 1980s, but it talks about everything that's going on today.
That's
essentially.
insane.
But, you know, if you sign off on that, you become a part of the N Club, the N Group. I'm not sure about the Protocols of the Elders of Zion. I think that there's probably some truth to it, but I don't know that for sure. But in closing, like, what would you like to hear us cover next? And where can people find you on X?
Yeah, at South Bay PsyOp, or my website's deadmachine.net.
Good domain.
That's where you can find my work. But I think, you know, like the Metropolitans would be an interesting sort of discussion because the HUD secretary under Bush did a podcast with Danny Jones, and in it she said that they found that $21 trillion was missing from the budget and went into a black budget for what they found with underground military bases. And it's just, that's a lot of money. And that's just like what they were able to find. And so it's clear that, you know, they're pouring so much money into the Metropolitans, into the underground systems, and it's not clear to how big it is. I mean, you hear rumors, and there's plenty of guests that, you know, your dad have had on. I've watched their shows, and they talk about these esoteric things, and it's just interesting. You know, Satanism, how they use tunnels a lot of the time, and they have like trap doors in hotels for human trafficking. That's how they like kidnap you in the middle of the night, stuff like that. It's a very dark corner that I think would be an interesting discussion.
Indeed, I definitely believe there's a secret government. I definitely believe that. You know, like I think there's some truth to that for sure.
Yeah, it's very hard long term.
Breakaway civilization.
Indeed.
Yeah, it's very hard sometimes when you're talking about things that seem very outlandish or wild. You know, sometimes certain things sound crazy at first, but then there's news that comes out like decades later that's like, actually, that's true, and that person wasn't crazy. But yeah, we'll definitely do some research into like some of these things. We normally tried to stray away from like going so much conspiracy theories type of stuff, but there's a nice gray zone where there's things that are like controversial that are actually true. And those
well,
are
I mean,
things
they write about it all. That's the thing, and that's the thing that the caller is talking about. All this stuff is written about, and it's not just something like a schizo came up with on the street. Like it's a real thing.
Yeah.
So
like in the protocols.
I believe it.
Protocols, it mentions the metropolitans and using to the West. I mean, that's from the quotes that I've seen, but obviously I don't know.
They've had the underground city stuff since the 50s. They especially started doing that with the Soviet Union and the threat of nuclear war.
Well, if the NSA
well, yeah,
and
yeah,
Snowden
they started
can
the
happen-
bunkers.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, no, yeah, I mean the bunk. You know, Stanley Kubrick made a movie about it, right? And in it, they talk about the mine shafts using that to build a breakaway civilization after the world ends. And so, yeah, it does seem like over time they have just built it out. You know, even the head of Army Intelligence, General Stubblebine, who is Dr. Rima Lebo's late husband, he told her that, yeah, I mean, we've had these since the 50s. Like it's super advanced, like the trains systems that they have, like being able to go from one end of the country to the other in less than an hour. That's crazy.
Yeah, and then the peasants get nothing, and they get to die. Well, thank you for your call today. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, what the hell?
Yeah, seriously.
Okay, yeah, thanks, guys. I'm very happy to have been caller on this show, and you guys are doing great work. So
First one.
I'm gonna continue
Thank
to
you.
follow.
And what was your profile again? We'll
Thank
get
you,
you
man.
on Sunday. You can come back.
At South.
Say it one more
South
time. You
Bay
cut out a
PSYOP.
little bit.
At South Bay PSYOP.
Perfect. Thank you.
It's a
Really
little
appreciate
kind of
it.
a tongue twister, but thank you, man.
Yeah, thanks for
you.
coming on.
Have a good night, sir.
All right, let's bring the next
All right.
new Groyper.
Is this new Groyper?
Yes, it is.
Okay, let's do it.
Hey guys, how are you doing?
Hey.
Good. Is this new Groyper?
This is the one and only.
Okay, we were having a debate because I heard you on a space and Tim was listening to the same space. We both popped in just kind of anonymously to view it. And
Creeping in the back.
I was like, he sounds Australian. And Tim says, no, he sounds Southern. I think Tim was right.
Very, very southern.
Right.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Right. So,
And
how are you
I
doing?
was also pretty sick that night, so
Oh,
that's
I
probably what.
see. That makes sense.
But so guys, how are you enjoying this golden age that we were
Oh,
calling
I
it?
love it. It's the golden age. It's all the truth. Trump is our great hero. You know, he slayed the kaiju in the ancient waters. He got in the Pacific Rim robot and used the power sword on it, and he heals the blind. He generates gold and gives it to children. He's the greatest person ever. I'm sick of it, man. Like, you know this. You've been watching the streams. It's a giant fraud. At the end of the day, he just decided, hey, if I get to be the head of the Republican Party, I'll lie to people and I'll let the party lie to people. I don't care. Anyone that's friends with Lindsey Graham is no friend of mine. Anyone that's a golfing buddy with Lindsey Graham is no golfing buddy that I would want.
You know, I think what happened,
Right.
all the lawfare and all the stuff and almost getting assassinated probably pissed him so much off that he just doubled down on just not giving a fuck.
You know, I think there's some truth to that, but I think it's willful ignorance. Yeah. I really think it is. What are your biggest issues with him, New Groyper? You've been a viewer for some time now.
Oh man. Okay. You asked. So first of all, the first thing that I'm seeing, well, the thing that's the most concerning to me is his deification of Trump.
Yes.
I saw Steve Bannon talking today, or I saw a clip of him, and he was like, Trump's going to get a third term because he's like got this, he's, carrying out divine will. And I was just like, I voted for Trump, but I didn't sign up for this.
I agree.
it's complete idol worship, and it's out of control. Not to mention the things that Trump sold us on, are not happening, and then the things that are happening only benefit one select group of people.
Very true.
I'm not going to name names, but it's like, for example, Trump is worried about all these foreign wars. Meanwhile, we have companies who are literally going to outsource, hundreds of thousands of jobs to robots, and nobody seems to care. Like one of the largest employers in America is just going to go 60%, something like that.
It's Amazon, I believe you're talking
And
about.
nobody
It
cares.
is Amazon. They're
Yeah.
automating.
Yeah, I mean, it's so crazy. And, we had this discussion, I think it was on the last live, actually. And, we were kind of having a little debate about the H-1B and about the, illegal immigrants. You're like, hey, do Americans want these jobs? Someone in the field is ultimately, they're going to do it for less money and they're going to be happy with it. Ultimately, the real discussion is the automation that's coming.
Yeah.
Because, Jose is a lot less of a fucking problem than the Optimus robot that Elon makes, in my opinion.
I actually have firsthand experience with a lot of this stuff, by the way, guys. I'm an engineer, so I work for Pfizer currently.
Oh, the bad guy.
Ironically, they shot me up with that,
the poison
that
shot.
poison, and I work for them now. Isn't that ironic? Yeah,
Keeps the lights on. Ultimately.
It keeps the lights on. Ultimately, you guys are right. Automation is a very real thing that's happening right now at my job. Massive complex, and probably 50% of the operations are automated now. We've got an entire team where their job is just to go in, find things
Figure
that
out.
are repetitive, and just replace the people that are in there. Now they do try to. How do I phrase this? When you do go in and you create an automation process, and you no longer need the personnel for that area, what they'll typically try to do first, before just eliminating that job, they will try to reallocate that to the places where they need help. So
That's only going to last so long.
It only lasts. Yes,
I mean,
you're
when
correct.
you got the robot.
You are
For
very
now.
correct. It is a for now situation. I will say I don't like the fact that they're replacing people's jobs, but me as an engineer, knowing how ergonomics plays and how I see a lot of these people work, dude, working in a factory is a miserable job. I'm not going to lie, for some of these jobs. For example, somebody will have to do an inspection, right? Where there's an IV bag that goes across the screen and there's just this bright light that's just sitting. And imagine you sitting there for 8 hours like this, staring into that light and watching and making sure no particles are there. Whereas a vision system could do that for you. So it's it depends on what the application is. Some things are actually good.
Well, and this is the thing, though. We've decided, these advancements in technology in general for society or whatever, like the data center, we have to have it. We have to have the data center. We have to have all this new tech. Do we need to live in this new world necessarily? And I see your point, for that very specific application, Tim, that makes a lot of sense. But I mean, I think about the things where people are there's a large amount of people employed, and the 10, 20 years, those jobs won't be there. And where do those people go? Where do those people go? And that's when the universal basic income will come in. That's when the true daycare jobs will come in. Ultimately, it'll just be a giant HR system run by fat women that are God and control everything. Right? What do you think,
Yeah,
New Grover?
pretty much.
Yeah.
Well, for me, the thing about it is I think it's the first step was flooding in our country with illegal immigrants to ruin the labor market. The next step on the progression is this automation too, because when you think about how they're pushing this transhumanist ideology, I work at a Fortune 100 company, and they were sending me articles about the third industrial age and stuff like what your dad was talking about.
Right.
A couple of years ago, letters from Klaus Schwab. It's clear they've got an agenda, they've got a purpose, and it's incremental because if they get to push the line an inch further, then if they take a step back, they're still way further than what they were previously. But now it's we've been conditioned to accept things that 20, 30 years ago would be unacceptable.
Yeah.
And so I think we're going there. I think we're going there quick. I think that, Trump himself, he seems to be concerned with two things, building his ego, and then, helping Israel. I mean, and the thing about it, and I mentioned this, and I seem to be one of the few people in my, in my sphere that care, but like George Santos, he should have never been released, regardless of, reading Trump's statement. It said other people are doing bad things, so it doesn't matter. And that's not true. Government corruption is government corruption and needs to be treated as such. But instead, he turned it into a partisan issue. Lets off this guy who did, from what I understand, some bad things. And, it's like Trump's got a pardon for him. He's got a pardon for apparently Diddy coming up, is what's being reported.
I don't think that.
But never say never, though. I think he might do it just because he can. That's what it's all about. Trump does things just because he has the ability to do them.
So then might as well add Maxwell at that point.
Right. Well, I think that's already happened. She's been transferred from whatever prison she was in to like kind of a club fed place.
Yeah, she's.
Yeah. Go ahead.
she's at vacate summer camp, and it's like he does all these things, but then when there are actually people doing things that are good, like Alex Jones, Trump is silent. Right. The abandonment of Alex Jones will be studied, in political science courses and in decades to come, because what's going to happen, and I don't think Trump realizes, is his whole base is going to crash because like people like me. I mean, I'm not voting GOP anymore.
Me neither.
I don't care. I don't care if Gavin Newsom gets in. I don't care if like they are going to pay.
Exactly.
Because it's because at the end of the day, it's really just two sides of the same coin.
It is.
Like Alex was persecuted under the Democrats, and was and then got the Pontius Pilate treatment by the Republicans.
Yep. And the lawsuits were government funded,
and it's just unacceptable.
It throws the whole thing into question. Often, I'll have to litigate it and do Alex Jones apologetics and talk about the whole situation. The whole situation, it rests on one thing. It rests on, the funding that the lawsuits that they were able to push through. And they got 40 million and they got 1.8 million to run these things, and they were reimbursed. They were allowed to say that their political work against us was like charity work.
That's insane.
The giant law firm that came after us. So at the end of the day, that's what I hang my hat on. And I go, look, we were rendered guilty by default. It's all bullshit. And then the guy that worked the hardest for Trump, the guy that Trump said in his first campaign, he said, you are a great guy and I will not let you down. And then what does he do? He just completely abandons us. And it's the same narrative from the first administration that we're now getting in the second, where it's like, Trump's a good guy and he means well, but he appoints the worst people on the planet to have all these positions.
Yeah, he doesn't mean well. No. It's a lot, and it's like
I don't think
we're so desperate for change that we're coping, but I think it's intentional. Trump's not an idiot, and if he is, he wouldn't have made the fortune that he's made and done the things that he's done if he was an idiot. I think it's intentional, and
he's solidifying.
But and another thing that. Go ahead. Sorry.
He's just solidifying a generational wealth that he has already created, with his son making
crypto scams,
and all these other people.
Stuff and,
yeah.
It
really
well, that's not going to matter when America doesn't exist anymore. I mean,
yep.
I mean, we're at the end stage, and like the thing that I'm sure you guys have seen it float down your feeds. Like Trump's now turned his back on farmers. And that was a huge base for him.
No one wants to buy the soybean crop.
Yep.
Nobody.
He said that it's going to help him.
Well, but the Argentine beef.
Oh, yeah. You want to buy some foreign beef? You excited about that, New Groper?
Talk about that.
No. I buy from local butcheries who have local cattle. When I go to Walmart and stuff, I don't buy meat from there because I don't know where it's coming from. And the thing that's very interesting about it is I don't remember the specific name, but there's a vaccine for the animal that they give those cattle in Argentina, and it's not healthy for human consumption. And so there are certain regulations, restrictions on how they separate those animals from what herd and all that, but they're not giving any transparent information to the consumer.
No,
we don't have it. And at this point, it's one of those things to where if they can, and this is like the kind of the incremental slope. It's first they start with foreign meat, and then we don't. Well, how do we know where that foreign meat's coming from?
Right.
Well, we don't. Well, what if at this point, what if that meat gets swapped out for this new kind of meat that they're trying to make that's made from the cancer cells and all of that?
Yeah.
It's ridiculous, or not to mention it's a fundamental betrayal of his base. Because the farmers have been getting the short end of the stick for a long time.
Yes,
and instead of helping them, he's just like, hey, we're going to bring in meat from a foreign nation. And, this whole thing, as a groyper, I'm a big America First guy.
Right.
And it's been co-opted by these grifters. And it's like they're all using the terminology and the lingo now. But when you look at what they're doing, it's not America First. It's
America
them
last.
first. It's, because obviously they're getting kickbacks. I mean, that's
we
what
talked
it's
about this on one of our first episodes. We covered the farmers, and essentially, not only you have these like situations where no one's buying the agriculture internationally because they're like, why would we buy from somebody that's slapping tariffs on us? But then you also have the cost of what it makes in order to make the repairs to like these combines and these harvesters. Those are using international parts, so it's costing them way more in order to like actually service their vehicles and actually acquire the vehicles they need and lease those in order to like actually do their job.
It really is. It's a death knell. And really, I just want to make this point. And New Groper, you're a phenomenal caller, and we're going to talk more, of course. And we hope you come back on Sunday when we do like the true giant live stream, because we want you there for sure. You're a great guy. You got phenomenal points. When Biden weaponized SWIFT against the Russians, when he said, okay, the global financial system that everyone trusts us to run, we're going to weaponize the payment processing used between banks, and you can't use it anymore. That was like my number one reason for basically like no one hated Biden more than me during his term. I was like, this guy, like, he just signed America's death warrant. This is how BRICS is going to become an actual real thing. This is why everyone's going to move away from us, you name it. But then you got Trump coming in, and he just kind of decides arbitrarily and just throws around numbers like 500%, 100%. Just like, he's not meeting with the economics professors and going over the numbers of how to. He's deciding whatever he wants.
First number that comes is I think it's gonna be 25%.
The price is right, but for like global like tax law, it's insane.
Yeah,
really wild. But go ahead.
Right. No. I think it's all a scam. And like the farmers, they've been getting shafted for years. Nobody's been helping them with like the software that's being developed by like John Deere and how it's, right to repair has been an issue.
Right.
Nobody's helped them on that. There, and just one last thing on the meat thing. Where are all these environmentalists at? Because this meat has to get transported somehow. And oh man, they're using fossil fuels to power the ships to deliver all this meat. But they're silent because it doesn't suit their agenda.
Right.
I mean, it's just blatant hypocrisy and a double standard. And at the end of the day, I don't expect anything from our government because they are ineffective and useless.
They're liars.
Like when I try to explain this to people, I try to tell them, our government can't even manage to effectively fill in potholes.
Yeah.
Why would we trust them with any more power when they can't be trusted to even perform their basic duties at the most fundamental level?
Right.
And like I said, it's self-interest. It's big, it's lobbying interests. It's big corporations. It's, Trump Trump is just, we use him because he is the commander in chief right now, but he doesn't do anything different than any of the previous presidents. Like Biden did the same thing. But the Bush family is a dynasty who built their fortunes on corruption and
we talked about this,
and even the vice president.
Yeah, we talked about this. They sold that gold.
They sold the gold, and Hitler and the Bush's great grandfather or something was part of he was like one of the heads that was part of the American side that was moving the money around. That
grandfather
Hitler
wasn't even that far away.
Oh, his grandfather. You're right,
grandfather.
Yeah, it's insane.
I mean, it's a big club. We're not in it. And ultimately, these people don't care. They're a transnational global elite, as my dad, Alex, talks about all the time. And ultimately, when the country craters, they'll just go somewhere else. They don't care about the land. They don't care about the people. And even if they have long-term ties to the land, they just disregard it. And it's so disappointing because you talk about the golden age, and they don't do it every day, but sometimes they'll still throw that graphic up at InfoWars, and it's like, what are we celebrating here? Like,
yeah, they do.
And I
wonder that every time I see it.
Yeah, and I'm like, what are we doing here? And I really think it comes from us still believing at some level, or my dad still believing at some level, that we're going to get some help from the DOJ. And I mean, he went up there and he met with Ed Martin, and then like a week after that happens, Todd Blanche just puts the kibosh on the entire operation. And at the end of the day, you're talking about weaponization of justice. I think that they won't touch us because they like the precedent that was set. They like it. And you see Trump signal about the voting machines. And I saw a clip of him today. I think it was on the show, actually, talking about how bad the voting machines are and how they're banned in other countries and how paper ballots were done the same day. Voting machine, you wait 2 weeks to get the results. And it's very sophisticated with the watermark paper. Yeah, I saw him talk about it today. But Mike Lindell, he's got $1 billion judgment over his head, too, just for criticizing the voting machines. See, you're not allowed to do these things as Americans. I guess when you're the ruling elite, when you're the king, ultimately you get to make these calls and judgments about people.
Yep.
And you get to say whatever you want. But I guess the peons, the serfs, they don't get to do anything. It's really gross. And you make the point about Trump being deified and everyone worshiping him. The day he got shot, I pulled the cross out of my shirt and I said, people need to vote for this guy because he's anti-war and that's why they want to kill him. No one's been more pro-war. And then he goes and signals, I stopped 7 wars and all this crazy shit.
Yeah, he starts another one on the other side of the world.
Right. So we're just, what do you think, New Groiper? What do you think about these boats over by Venezuela that are getting just obliterated from the air? What do you think about that?
Well, I think it's gonna, it's all fine now until one of these boats ends up being filled with like children.
Right.
And, like being, like migrant, a boat full of migrant children.
We won't hear about it, though,
I mean, ultimately, I don't have sympathy for drug cartels. I really don't. I mean, but, it's like, does our government, did Obama use drones to hit hospitals? Yes, he did. I mean, in Syria and the Middle East. I mean, all of this has been done before, but at the end of the day, it's just corruption. Like, for example, going back to the DOJ stuff, I saw an article, I think today or yesterday, Trump has asked the DOJ to pay him like $250 million as a settlement for their persecution of him. Where's that love for all the other people who are getting persecuted by the DOJ? Not to be found. It's like we can't even actual people who actually care for this nation can't get relief from just not like Alex wasn't even asking for a settlement and all that yet, but that hasn't even been broached. It's like, let me keep the thing that I've built. Let me promote freedom.
Right.
Let me have my own identity. Let me have freedom of speech. And like, no, you're good. No, we've used you. Like Trump went on InfoWars. He used Alex. He chewed him up and he spit him out. And it is it is the most disgusting thing politically that I have ever seen. And it really just kind of shows the light. And the more I see Alex, struggle with that reality, the more angry I get. Not at Alex, because Alex wants to hope the best.
Right.
But at these people who have used his goodwill and his genuine concern for the nation for their own ends. Well, and don't worry, though, because what's going to happen, and this is what they don't realize, is the Gen Z and the younger people, they're going to give rise to something really bad.
Yeah.
Like, there's going to be a super nationalist guy, and he's going to come in and he's going to say the right things at the right time, and he's going to be based enough, and we're all going to go, woo, and here we have it. We have, something here. And at the end of the day, too, this is what I rest in. Justice may not be done in this lifetime, but they will stand before God and give an account for how they've behaved.
Well said.
They will. All their corruption will be brought to light. They will be judged accordingly. My prayer is that they would repent, but if that's not an option, then I pray God has slipped in his judgment.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, that's my hope. So
yeah, you're phenomenal, man. I like talking to you. I knew I would, and you've got a really accurate position and really appraisal of the whole Alex Jones situation, because that's basically my view too. Like me and you are real simpatico on that. Like that's how it is. And I have some hope, I keep hearing things from different crew members, and I've heard a couple different things from my dad about how long they're going to hold out. It could be a week, it could be a couple of months. I think that place, ultimately, it's very sad and whatnot, but we're not going to win right now. I think we got to go with the Alex Jones Network. I think he's got to get in a new studio and get some distance from that place.
He's still holding on.
Yeah, he really is. And, I don't think it's productive in the long term. I think we got to get onto the new ship. I think it's going to be even more successful. But once we realize that, hey, the cavalry didn't come, I think that'll be a real realization. I think there's still a lot of, thought and holding on to that situation.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's so sad.
Yeah.
It's so sad.
It really is.
But the thing is, Yeah, like for me, for with Alex, it's like I respect what he does because, like, you know, I got red pilled with the COVID stuff, and I went from the span of like normie sports guy to 9/11 was an inside job within a kind of couple weeks, just watching InfoWars and stuff. And it's like he doesn't, you know, he plugs his supplements, which I take methylene blue.
Beautiful.
I took Super Male Vitality. That stuff is dangerous. I mean, in a good way. But you know, and it's like he does. You can tell there's no like he's doing all this stuff at great cost to himself, and everybody is just kind of, you know, they use him and they use his notoriety and his goodwill that he's built with the people. And then when it comes time, well, you know, it comes time for people to actually, you know, step in and help. They distance themselves from him for political purposes because they have no conscience. It's seared and their hearts are hardened and they don't care for freedom or, you know, because their children will get on a plane and fly somewhere.
Right.
They're not going to deal with the repercussions.
Yeah.
So it's just some sad state of affairs, man.
That was always my view about Rogan growing up, you know, is I viewed Rogan as someone that used Alex for a lot of that, you know, like niche alternative credibility to be like, oh no, I'm for real. I have him on. And, you know, it's been very disappointing for me to see all this stuff happen. And, you know, if Alex was to do Rogan, if he was to go on the show and talk about the situation and, you know, maybe bring Barnes with him, maybe bring Robert Barnes and they could really get into the legal situation, explain how bullshit it is. I don't think that the administration would be able to ignore that, you know, and if Rogan was a real friend, he'd do that like not just one time, but a couple of times. But unfortunately, you know, it's like, hey, man, you know, like we got our situation, you got your situation. It sucks. I'm sorry. Yeah, but it's too hot right now. And a real friend doesn't behave that way.
So he's got a contract to worry about too.
Well, I mean, that's bullshit.
That Spotify
that's bullshit.
Though.
I don't care about that. He sold on it for over 300 million. If he was a real friend, he'd have Alex on. Like seriously, he would. And I got a huge issue with Rogan because of that. I mean, like he likes to act like, oh, like I'm crazy kooky guy and I got all these weird ideas about things and I'll interview anyone. I'm the guy that'll interview anyone. I mean, he's had a lot of crazy people on.
He won't even interview Tate either, bro.
Yeah, I mean, like here's the thing. Andrew Tate, whatever, controversial figure. My dad has a real political statement to make, a real precedent statement to make, and it's very important that the case be made. And that's why we'll never stop making it. At the end of the day, a lot of our greatest allies, our greatest perceived friends, like people like Rogan, people like Trump, there's been a lot of just, you know, watching you drown type of situation. And they got the life jacket.
They're nothing. Yeah, well, you know, and the thing about it with Rogan is that Rogan is not going to do anything to jeopardize his own little thing. But what he fails to realize is that if this plan that they're using works itself out to completion, there is no Joe Rogan podcast. There is no Alex Jones show. There is no, you know, there's no America First with Nick Fuentes. There's no gray area with Tim and Rex. Like there is none of that. It'll be over. Yes. And so it just blows my mind. But, you know, I can respect people who are just, I have respect for the people who are pushing the agenda because they're willing to do something. But the people who say they're good guys and they're cowards, no thanks, man. I have no respect for a coward.
Yeah,
right.
I mean,
it's ridiculous. They're working their program. How can you be mad at them at the end of the day? That's the point I always made about the Democrats, you know, and I was like, hey, look, at least like they're evil and whatnot, but they're united and they all agree and they're all on message or on brand. And then you have Trump come through and shatter that. And then he creates his own offshoot of being on brand, which is just a rebrand of the neocon administration and reforming the GOP in his image. And the whole thing is like, you remember New Groiper, how afraid they were of him in that first campaign, especially before he got elected, how much hatred the Republicans had for him. They wanted him gone.
Yeah,
and that was not an act. And
they still do.
They still do, but he's willing to believe their lie. He's like, I'm the leader now. Right. It's okay. But the second he's gone, I made this point. You know, I was up in Dallas with Alex Stein. We did the show yesterday, but I went to this little event after. I won't get too much into it, but there were a lot of those like young Republican type dudes there and whatnot. And I was talking to him. And I was like, you know, we've lived for a decade under Trump. Since 2015, since he came down the escalator, it's all been his universe, his world. And he spoke it into existence. He really did. But when he's gone and when it's JD and Rubio, we're back. we're back to where we were, but now the government has infinitely more power and they have infinitely more tools to do what they're going to do. And people will look at this time as sick as it is and how disappointing as it is, they'll look at this time and like we'll dream for it, because what's coming down the pipe is really bad. And I think we're going to get that time period like you speak of, where, you know, we're, real quick to preface that, I think we're gonna get that time like the JDs, the Rubios, maybe the AOCs, maybe the Gavin Newsoms, people like that, and it'll be kind of the traditional return to form. And then we will really have that Great Depression. We will have that real breakdown where the country goes to zero, and then that authoritarian leader is going to come in. It's going to sound really attractive.
It's kind of wild. We've got a lot of life left to live.
Yeah,
and it's like
scary, man.
We're already kind of cooked, and you're just looking at where the train tracks, and
you get these boomers, these old people that are still trying to run everything into the ground, and like they're telling us how things run. They got to enjoy their whole lives in the freest, most like utopian situation possible.
Yeah, because Trump doesn't care at this point. He's like, I'm gonna be dead.
I'm gonna die. I'm not going to heaven. And it's very disturbing, you know, like regardless of what you believe. And I saw some people go like, oh, he's being pious, he's being proper, he doesn't want to make a claim about God. You know, like I'm Orthodox catechumen, like, and that is like our position is like, you don't want to say like you're going up there, you know, because like you don't know whether or not, but you hope God has mercy on you. But that's the thing, he should have prefaced what he said or said after. He's like, I hope God has mercy on me. At the end of the day, I don't even hear like a
no, he's like, I don't care. He's like,
yeah,
I'm going to hell.
Yeah, I'm going down. And it's like, okay, well, all right, well, you're our leader. Like, what's up with that?
You know why? It's because he knows in the back of his head that he's done some pretty awful things that people don't know about.
All the Epstein stuff, you know?
Yep, his escapades with Epstein. Yep, whatever they are, we don't know them, but he does, and God does ultimately.
Yeah, phenomenal point. Well, we thank you for having us.
It's like,
go ahead.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No. I was gonna say that's a phenomenal point. You keep going.
Dude, we'll have him on more. Let's keep. You're not done, right? We'll keep you for another 15 minutes here. This is fun. This is a great time.
Yeah.
And also,
you know, talk about this. And this is my pet peeve, right? I'm a Protestant by nature, and the things that, like, I know his background is somewhat Protestant. The dude's got Paula White as his spiritual advisor. Of course, he has no idea. I mean, dude, she's a first class retard, and she's been a first class retard since I've been alive.
Right.
And it's just kind of ridiculous to think about.
Isn't she one of those people that she, like, you plant the seed, right? And you give the money. And
right. She, you know, it's like, first of all, like, you can't be female pastors don't exist. I'm sorry if I upset anybody. I'm sorry.
Oh,
actually,
Paul talks about that.
They don't exist.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know, it's like, and they put in these people like this Joel Osteen, like John Hagee, and all of these guys, and they say that they're this. They misrepresent everything. They clearly have no formal training in any capacity.
Right. Yeah.
And then somehow they get put in the White House in these positions of power. But the reason why I think they do that is because they'll obey.
Right. Yeah,
they'll obey.
I agree.
And it's they'll sing his praises.
Yeah, it's so gross when you see these people, and they're grifting off of old people. So I guess it's kind of uniting of the factions, because Trump's ultimately grifting off the old people at the end of the day. And sadly, like these boomers and these older Gen X, they watch and support those kind of mega church, prosperity gospel, dispensationalist pastors. I mean, I retweeted this video a while back, not even a while back, a few days ago, and it's like a black church. It's like one of those black pastors that talks about planting the seed of the money, and like this black woman comes up with her son, and he's like, I'm ready for people to plant a seed today. I'm ready for them to do it now. And she's got $1,200 bucks. She's got $1,200 for him, and he goes, I told you to come with 2,000. Like, and I'm like, yo, like, but these are the same people that are in the White House, but they have, for some reason, it's some sort of spiritual sickness, you know, like they're really the wolves in sheep's clothing, as Paul talks about. They're there to, you know, like misguide and fool people and get people ultimately to worship them instead of God. And I think that works so perfectly with the political system, because we're supposed to worship our political figures instead of God in the modern system.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, everybody knows that the system is broken. It's crazy because I never heard my parents talk about this, but my mom was talking about this with me the other day, and she's not a boomer. She's like the generation right after that, and she's like Democratic. She was like, you know, she liked Biden at first and everything, and she's been Democrat her whole life. But she, like, this past, like, you know, 2 administrations has caused her to reevaluate everything about her belief system and who she supports and all these different things. and she said something really profound, like we're talking about, where she was like, dude, they're all the same. They're all, the same cloth, essentially, at the end of the day. The thing for me, though, is like, what is the point at which this changes? Does it require like a giant, like real, I'm not preaching this, but does it come down to like an insurrection and we just become another like Nepal
it's the
or
crash. It's the Great
Philippines or something like that, where we get so tired of it and then people storm the White House and the Congress and just replace everybody? Like I don't think we ever get to that point, because America has a good way of brainwashing already and dociling people enough.
I mean, you say that, you go to the grocery store and it costs $200 to fill up your cart, and things like this. I think it's the cost of food ultimately, and that's always the thing that drives revolution, is the cost of food, the cost of living, the cost of like utilities.
Well, it's that, but then also like, okay, so we have corruption, and then there's like corruption, right? Like we have at least a basis of like some systems in play. Like we complain here, right, about like our perils and things, but like it's nothing in comparison to a lot of these international countries where, I think the most recent one was Peru. They went on, they are having riots as of like yesterday or the day before. And it's because like, their government systems are outright like showing to their people, and you've got a large population that's in like extreme poverty, and then at that point it gives them precedence to be like, okay, let's do something about us. But we have enough people that are in the middle class, and like even the lower class here have just it's a struggle, but you're not like to the point where you don't have like basic things like internet to like distract yourself and all these other different things that a lot of these other countries, like people are literally dying.
Right. Well, I mean, that's coming here. And ultimately, we're spoiled and entitled because everyone should be spoiled and entitled in the sense of having human rights, right? Like we have a constitution, we have a Bill of Rights. These other places, they pay lip service to our system in order to work with us, kind of, but they don't believe in these things, especially places like China. Really, the only place that's similar, at least in a religious structure, to the United States, I would argue even more Christian than the U.S., is probably Russia, right? Like that's an extremely Christian country. I believe it's 83%. So
but I still wouldn't want to be in their system.
This is the thing. They don't have the human,
basically a monarchy.
They don't have the human rights.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, it's going to come down to, they're going to say, look, we can fix this for you, but we got to get rid of this whole human right, Bill of Rights, Constitution thing. And that's that authoritarian leader that you're talking about, New Groyper. Like it's all coming together. And I think it requires the crash. I think our dollar will hit zero one day. And when
that's where it comes.
Yeah, and that's where all the societal change will really come from, because you can spend all the pretty words you want, you can make the propaganda, you can make the videos, you can post the AI memes of you in a jet dumping on Harry Sisson, and oh, it's so funny, and he's so based, and he's so for real, whatever that means. At the end of the day, people can't afford to live anymore. Like me and you both make good money, and it's hard.
It is. I mean, dude, even if you're making quote unquote good money, if you're trying to invest, you're trying to do the right things, like you can't do business at the same time. You got to like pick one or the other. Like I still eat at Chipotle, guys. I'm not sitting there going out to 5-star restaurants and just spending my money, because I realize, shoot, I don't know how much time we have left on this gravy train of like capitalism.
Yeah.
I got to go and do something about this. New Groyper, I've got a question for you. Do you think that there's any room for a third party to come in? Do you think that'll ever happen?
Is that where you see America first?
No, I take this stance, and hopefully I'm going to try to be as nuanced as I can. Because I don't necessarily promote this, but I think this is a reality. I think what you'll see is an uprising, like a true uprising, and it'll be bad and violent, and there will be nothing that we can do to stop it. Because I mean, all the circuses that we have, like the modern day, like the sports and all the entertainment, when all of that stuff gets pushed aside because people can't eat, or they like they can't do anything,
right? And
their jobs are being replaced by robots and people on H-1B visas, and I mean the government, the power structure at B. And I'm not even talking about the two-party system. I'm talking about the one-party system that's above the two. As Putin refers to them, the men in gray suits, I believe is how he refers to them.
The men in black suits with black ties.
Those people will never. Yeah, those people will never allow it to happen. I mean, it's just that, and the only way it's going to happen is if Americans use their rights. And like I said, I don't advocate for violence. I just see it as an unavoidable reality at this point. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when.
And to tie it back into
it's going to be sad, and my prayer is that it doesn't happen. But I'm also I would like to say I'm based in reality.
Yeah.
And all the signs, like history is cyclical, and this mirrors the fall of the Roman Empire.
Right. Very true.
100%.
And yeah, go ahead.
No, you're good.
So they come in, and this is the real this is the real hourglass that they have to worry about right now. If this all happened and it went to zero and everything, I think we'd see what you're talking about. But there's a possibility for it to have a positive ending, where I mean, the police and the military, ultimately, if they're not getting paid, if they can't eat and their families can't eat, are they going to be the enforcers for the system? Probably not, in my approximation. But you got the automation, you got the robots coming in, in a decade or two. If they're able to keep Americans on the plantation, so to speak, for that long, when you have an all robot military and they send the suicide drones in and they can debank, deplatform whoever they want, there is no real means for resistance. So that's the real timeline that we have to worry about here. That's what I think about.
I actually see
it's like
go ahead. I'm just I know there's the black pill that we could choose about the future of where this all goes, including automation and what AI is going to do. I mean, the fact of the matter is, yes, it has to get bad before it gets good, because the only time that real change happens is after some major event happens where it wakes a lot of people up. And then we redefine because people are tired. Like, for example, World War II, very bad situations going up. And then you had a big moment of peace right after that time period. My whole thing with, the AI, the automation, I don't think it's necessarily the worst thing in the world. And this is my perspective. I want you to just not necessarily jump to conclusions about where I'm going with this statement. I think at the end of the day, humans were not designed to just sit in cubicles or sit on manufacturing lines and do these mundane, boring jobs. Even me as an engineer, it's not fun all the time. You've got the same who decided this 9 to 5 was what humans literally had to live for. And you look at it, it's 80 to 90% of people are unhappy with their jobs regardless. I think the automation comes in, makes things cheaper. When we find a source of that makes power and electricity and energy super cheap to where the average person, when you have a basic universal of something, and not saying that we create a bunch of lazy people, but we just have to incentivize.
Yeah, but then they kill everyone. That's the problem.
Yeah,
that's the issue.
But when you say kill everybody, you're not talking about on a literal sense. You're talking about.
I am. Both long term and short term.
So what do you mean by literal sense?
Oh, they released a new bioweapon. Oh, COVID-20 comes out and it's actually really lethal this time, and it kills a giant portion of the population. Oh, birth rates declining anyway. We don't feel it now. 10, 20, 30 years, we will start to feel it.
But I still think that is the black pill perspective on taking that.
But
and
that's what they say in their own writings that they want to do.
I agree.
And they're in charge.
I agree. But the thing is, we're forgetting the newer generations as you go along become more and more calibrated to something different, right? The average millennial, the average Gen Z person does not think of the government in the same way that the boomers and those generations have done. So if we're changing out the systemic problems slowly, and this is going to take a while, eventually you get enough of people that are okay, we're going to go this direction with the country. We're going to go take these better decisions that actually benefit the whole, because we know what it was like when our government was in the systems in place, creating the mess that we have today.
Yeah, but these people that are running the system, it's just going to be their children running the system, and then they're going to be a fan of the system because it puts them on top. It's sorry to be black pill, but I am black pill.
Yeah,
I really am.
Maybe I'm just optimistic. I see it.
Just to kind of offer some balance. At the end of the day, we know how this ends. For a Christian, there is a greater hope. So while things may appear bad now, even if life does turn out to be this, the transhumanist agenda that they write about, and everything works out kind of like the movie I, Robot, you know, where you know, Will Smith is attacking the robots. At the end of the day, we know, you know, there's a greater hope for us. So we don't have to like bask in, you know, sorrow. But at the end of the day, like that is where they're wanting to go.
Yeah.
They like the whole transhumanist movement is this idea of merging human consciousness with technology.
Right.
And so, like, you know, it's like this technology, like what we know is that nobody ever just stops at the right point with technology. It always progresses to its final end as far as they can push it. There'll be somebody who wants to develop it.
Right.
And there'll be somebody who develops it. And it may not be America, but it doesn't have to be. You know, it's like at the end of the day, all of this stuff that they're building, all it takes is for one, let's say one nation who says, you know, puts ethics to the side and just wants the best technology, and they usher this stuff in for us. And, you know, like we already know that the military is going in a attack drone form.
Right.
And at the end of the day, it's just going to be, you know, it's going to be bad. And it'll be bad for a while. And honestly, we deserve bad. If I'm being really transparent here, like we've resided over the death of, you know, tens of millions of children for convenience. We've sacrificed them to Moloch.
Yeah, that's
I mean, why would God bless this? I mean,
that's such a good point.
That's just my thought.
Yeah, 60 million plus people killed. I mean, in New York, you have a higher chance of being aborted than being born if you're a black baby. This is a fact.
That's wild.
Yeah,
I saw a statistic. 1/3 of Gen Z has been aborted.
Yeah,
1/3. And you know, and like I said, it while it all appears bad, I mean, there is you know, God is on his throne doing what he does.
Yeah,
and
that's
at
my
the end
whole
of the day,
point.
evil will not prevail.
Right. That's my whole point with the whole perspective of like things have to get really bad. I don't know how long that bad period is going to happen. Yeah, there'll be an implosion. Things will get to the point where like, you know how like the atom bomb was basically used and people are like, oh, wait, we can't use that again. I think there's the atomic bomb of the situations that happens in society that wakes everybody up. And then we figure out a way to use all this technology to actually start benefiting the average person. So that way everyone just has like a base standard of life that's taken care of from an automation standpoint. And then it gives you the creative power to go out there and like do something else because humans weren't built for this 40-hour week.
Talked about this. Karl Marx.
I am not a communist. Just to put this in perspective, I still believe in capitalism, but I think there's a way to have a meritocracy plus having just a baseline system where that helps the average person.
And I'll join you on this to a certain degree. I'll agree with you here. I mean, like we talk about how great we are as a nation. While all we do is yap about it, and then you can't get health care. You're telling me they got $300 billion for Ukraine, but you gotta like go to an ER if you break something. You gotta pay
$10,000 for God knows
like,
what.
I don't agree with that. I view that as immoral and wrong. And we pay for the development of all these drugs, but we pay more than any nation for them. And it's so weird. You know, a New Groper, I'm sure you'll agree with me on this. They come in and like Trump's first term and second term was the same thing. And like they'll pass like a tiny little minor reform in some area that is a part of like a greater system that's never going to be fixed. And they point to it and they're like, look at this phenomenal thing that he did. Look, it's the greatest thing ever.
Right.
Lowering prescription drug prices for seniors that want Viagra. like this is the greatest thing ever. No one has ever been able to do this. And like, and you're sitting there, you're like, well, no one can eat, no one can go to the doctor, no one can live.
And then the mental health care is just insane too.
But I guess I agree with you there, Tim. I guess it's people want to believe in the president and that the president is good regardless of who it is. And as long as you have an hour of like greatest hits sound bites that you can play to and go, I passed this thing, I did this thing, I did this thing, and they play the fucking trumpet for you and they put the American flag up behind you, like that makes you good enough to get voted for. But maybe it is the boomer at the end of the day that plays to and appeals.
I'm telling you, there's a big population of younger people. Like even my my siblings have kids. They have like probably 10 across the two of them. They're teaching them different principles.
Right.
And I have to believe that there are other people out there on the silent majority that are like, hey, do you see this craziness? Let's not do this. Because at the end of the day, if you were to take the perspective, let's say we go back 100 years and they're like, oh, America will always stay racist, I wouldn't be here on the show with him currently.
Right.
You know, eventually there was a silent majority that spoke up, changed the status quo, and essentially less and less people. And now I meet an average person who's young. They're not even thinking about like the fact that I'm, you know, a black guy.
Right, but they try to
or-
make us fight over such things, and it's bullshit.
But that's still those old people that still
Right.
from the 60s, right? So it's like we gotta wait until there's a whole new refresh.
Right, and ultimately, I have no beef with anyone that's been in America, especially for a long time, and like our ancestors been here for a long time. So I think that there's honor in that. I think that's to be respected. I have a big problem when we sell out to these foreign powers and to these countries that aren't American by nature, and the people over here have a credence to a place like Israel, and they don't have a loyalty to a place like here because they'll just leave at the end of the day. But they'll take our money, they'll take our support, and they'll tell us that we're bad people if we don't support them, right? And like that's what I rage against, you know, because like we're sitting here today enjoying all these freedoms that are ultimately paid for by blood in the street and blood in the field and blood everywhere. And then you got people coming into our late stage system and they're pushing us over the edge. And I cannot abide it. I cannot stand it. Thank you, New Gripper. This was a phenomenal show with you. And we're going to do another one. Call in on Sunday. We'll be ready for you.
100%.
Thank you.
Okay, sounds good, guys. Thank you for taking my call.
Oh, dude, 100%.
Anything
You're
to say in
badass.
closing?
Yeah, no, I would just say this. You know, things are not going to change, politically, until we stop listening to the people who lie. You know, the definition of insanity is to do the same thing over and over and
again.
expect a different result. Yeah. And as long as we trust in these politicians, we're never gonna make any progress. They're always going to do this. They're going to extract as much wealth out of us until there's nothing left, and then they'll move on to the next group of people. And you know, if we really want to make change, we're gonna have to. We're gonna have to step into roles. We're gonna have to run for office. We're gonna, I think the more realistic thing is we're gonna have to just expose what they're doing live as it's happening.
You point out the absurdity of it,
and that's right. But anyways,
I agree.
Well, once again, guys, thank you for taking my call. It's been good talking with both of you.
It's phenomenal, dude. Thanks for watching the show. Thanks for being here with us tonight. And I said it again, I'll say it again here. Please come on with us on Sunday. You got some phenomenal viewpoints, man. And you got any topics that you want to bring up on that Sunday show, just think about it and we'll broadcast. It'll be a big show. We'll have a lot of viewers. And thank you, New Groper. You were badass. Thank you very much.
I appreciate it, guys. Thank you, guys. Have a good night.
Have a good night.
And then drop us too on that.
Which one?
Host room.
Host room?
Yeah, drop that as well.
Okay, so is this okay? Oh, so this is the host room, or
No, those are terminated calls. We just closed that out.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, that's just showing your history of like people.
All right, we had someone waiting online for us, right?
Nope.
No, are you?
There's only two. The
Are you
third
sure?
the third called out.
Okay, well, you know what? This has been a long show for me and phenomenal topics. I mean, New Groper really carried hard for us. I'll be honest, but it's great to have another person to talk to that has, kind of a similar frame of reference for what's going on in society. I'm pretty much ready to wrap tonight.
I am too. I'm gassed. But guys, overall, we're not just gonna have selected people. We're gonna open up the lines as well for other people to join as well. We were just trying to give some
It's
of
a real
our
test stream.
This is really just a test stream, and we're just trying to give some of our deep supporters that have been there since day one just a little bit of love backwards. But overall, you guys will be able to tune in on Sunday. We'll put out the number there for other people to call in. And Sunday show, we may or may not have a guest, not sure yet. But we will be doing that history set.
We're gonna have a guest.
We are.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're
Awesome.
gonna have a guest. Still working on that, but there are a couple people that are available.
Okay, cool. Yeah, like I said, we're gassed, guys, but I'm glad for anybody who was able to tune in and stay on till this point. Please still go ahead and follow us on Gray Area on the
follow
YouTube.
Truism Tim on X. I'm gonna say it like 5 times. Follow Truism Tim on X. 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 Give him a follow. Look, we're trying to do stuff. We're trying to get these big guests on, and we're an itty bitty little show, right?
It's
and
true.
I've got some followers. I don't have a lot. Tim, you need more followers.
I do.
You need more followers.
Gives
So-
me the ability to actually
Yeah.
communicate with other people and bring other people because
Seriously.
they recognize the follower count. But then at the same time, I get the energy from you guys, and I
And
spend
we
a lot of
appreciate
time
everyone,
on the
but here's,
show.
here's the thing. Let's get him to 1,000 guys. Let's do it. I want you to plant 1,000, follow a seed. I want you
I had a dream
Seriously, like just
that I
follow-
would get 1,000 followers by the end of this year. I have a dream.
just follow Tim on X. Follow Truism Tim on X. Follow Gray Area. And if you're watching this, you're probably following me on X. It's probably how you're watching the stream. But hey, if you're not following me, if you're on YouTube or Rumble, follow me at Rex Jones News. But more importantly, follow Truism Tim on X and follow the Gray Area. We're going to do a lot more great shows for you guys. What an incredible guest. I want to close off on that. New Groiper, phenomenal. And I knew
And Brandon was the first one. We give support to him. He
You know,
was good as well.
He was great too. We got to talk about weather weapons, the chemtrails, the 5G, all that stuff, because it's all real and it's all written about. Give credence and a lot of blessing to both those guys. They're both phenomenal. Thank you for being here with us tonight. We really appreciate everyone that was watching, and join us on Sunday. Be here. We're going to be doing basically we just decided this. It's going to be a 4-hour show, essentially. We'll do current topics, current events, breaking news for about 30, 45 minutes. We'll lead into our guest. Then we'll lead into our prepared topic, and then we'll take calls for it could be like an hour and a half, guys. We're going to get a lot of people online, a lot of people on the phone. You're going to want to be there. You're not going to want to miss it. And look, follow Truism Tim on X. I said it again. I said it like 10 times. I'm going to leave now. Thank you for joining us on the Gray Area. Peace out. God bless and good luck.